Today we're going to be talking about how I lost $2,500 back in college that, if I still had it, would be worth somewhere between $7,000 and $13,000 today. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Grant, a guy in his 30s, and I'm making these videos so that you don't make the same money mistakes that I've made. So again, we're going to be talking about how I lost about $2,500 back in 2012, which would have been my senior year in college. You might be asking yourself, how did this happen? And the answer is two words: penny stocks. There was a company, it was called Tag Like Me Corp. The ticker symbol was TAGG, and the reason I stumbled upon this was back then I was looking for something to do with my money to hopefully, get me a little bit farther ahead in life. And basically, 22-year-old me at the time decided, hey, penny stocks, that's probably a good bet, right? That's a way for me to have outsized gains because of the fact that they cost so little and they have unlimited upside, right? Well, we're going to be taking a look at some of the red flags that presented themselves to me that I didn't really pick up on. Hopefully, you'll be much smarter and wiser with your money decisions. So the first red flag with penny stock, particularly this one, when you're going to be taking a look at it and analyzing it to figure out whether it's something you should invest in or not, happens to be where it's traded. So this one, it was traded on what's called the pink sheets or the over-the-counter market, which isn't a part of the major stock exchanges, things like the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. These are places where companies that are bigger are traded here, companies that have either a longer history or bigger clientele. These are going to be the kinds of companies that you'll find on these major exchanges, and because this isn't one of them, that should already start to make you a little bit cautious about wanting to trade it. The second red flag that I should have picked up on was the fact that the price had gone from recently, within the last 12 months of when I decided to purchase it, its all-time high of about 39 cents per share, down to about 4 cents per share, about the time that I would have made that purchase. And while 4 cents a share looks like a great deal on paper, especially when you have $2,500 to spend, the thing you need to take into consideration is that should have been a pretty significant identifier of a recent pump and dump. Something where people will find a stock kind of like this and say, hey, this is going to be worth a ridiculous amount in the future. You need to get in on it, and by drawing a lot of people's interest and trying to get them to purchase the stock at the time, it's going to drive demand up artificially, and the price, this is something that we saw recently with GameStop. The price goes crazy, goes high as it's probably ever going to go, and because the value isn't there with the stock, the price tapers off and eventually comes down. A 90% loss in its overall traded value is not a very good sign, especially if that's the highest it's ever been, and it has an immediate drop-off like that, again, within a relatively short amount of time. The third red flag that should have stuck out to me, but again, I wasn't smart enough to pick up on this at the time, was the fact that there was relatively few financials available regarding this stock. Again, because it was a smaller stock and there wasn't that much going on with it at the time, I think I was able to rationalize the lack of information and, again, made a really bad decision. Knowing what I do now, you want to be making sure that as far back as the company exists, or at least as far back as it's been publicly traded, you want to make sure that you have access to that information and do your due diligence, taking a look at the different financial metrics and doing an analysis based off of what kind of markers you would typically look for in a strong company. Things about earnings and expenses and growth. You want to be tracking those kinds of things using some of the usual financial equations. Things that when you're looking at the prices of stock and how much business the stock is doing, when you take a look at that stuff, it'll give you an idea as far as how well the business is performing. Because, again, what you have to realize is that these are actual businesses that exist, and when it comes down to it, you want to make sure that it's putting out a good product and that people are actually buying it. That said, I'd like to know what you guys have had as far as experience with the stock market. Have you been, smart right from the get-go and known exactly what you're supposed to be looking for when it comes to making these kinds of investments? Or have you also had your fair share of pitfalls along the way? Let me know in the comments. I hope this discussion has been helpful for you. If there's anything else that you'd like to leave in the comments, whether that be topics about upcoming videos or any other thoughts that you have about stocks or finance or anything along those lines, let me know. If this video was helpful for you, go ahead and share your love and the video in all of the typical ways. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, I care about you, and I'll see you in the next video.